Hey everyone, I hope to have a little bit of fun today and walk you through certificates at FAU, which seem to be all the rage. Our journey into a certificate was very challenging and very different. If you have any questions along the way, just please unmute and ask. I'll start by letting you know a little bit about who we are. I'm the director of the Hospitality and Tourism Management program in the College of Business. I've been full time in academia now for about 20 years, and I was part time as an adjunct before that for about 10 or 12 years. But my background is pretty much hospitality the entire way. From the age of 14 through now, I'll be 57 next week. I've been in the industry my whole life. I started as an adjunct early, kind of by accident. I was 23 years old working in Miami. And at that time, Nova University, now Nova Southeastern, had a hospitality program and asked if I could teach a class on destination marketing because I was working at the Convention and Visitors Bureau promoting the destination of Miami. So I kind of have a full blend of academia with hospitality, which is why when I get to our initial certificate, why I thought it might work. So in our industry, there's an explosion in micro credentialing and certificates and certifications. And I wanted to start by saying make sure that if you get into this, you clarify the distinction between a certificate and a certification because there's not a week that goes by that people are telling me they got their certification from FAU, which is not correct. So we'll talk today about certificates, and then at the end, I'll show you a list of some certifications. So our program is about 16 years old. We experienced explosive, steady growth from 0 students to about 1,300 students in seats. And then COVID came and it exploded that growth. We became popular with an in person certificate about 12 years ago. And the College of Business has a very strong executive education department. They do certificates, small, medium, large, in every business discipline there is. And they also do certifications or certification training. They approached us and said, why don't you reach out to your employers? Why don't you do an executive certificate in hospitality and tourism management? And we did that successfully for about 10 years in a row. It was in person, it was during the summer, and it was on Saturdays, over 8 different Saturdays during a 3 month period. So we would earn about $15,000 to $20,000 on that certificate. After faculty stipends, we would clear profit of about 10 or 12,000. We were very pleased with it, and we had about 30 to 55 anytime we offered that. When COVID came, we'll talk about the difference in how our certificates are about. But after about 2008, the funding in the state university system after that major recession changed, and there was no reason for me to keep growing the undergraduate programs as a method to raise money. It didn't really help me get faculty, even though that's why I needed new faculty members from growth. It wasn't looked at as beneficial for the college because undergraduate tuition really doesn't contribute a lot. Executive education does. So that's how I was kind of gently pushed into starting the in-person certificate. And again, it was not a banner moneymaker, but it led us to, maybe $80,000 of revenue over the period we ran it. This is just a graphic of our enrollments. As you can see here, COVID destroyed us from our all-time high of 1,300 to the start of COVID to during COVID. it looks like we're bouncing back, but in reality, we're probably about here right now. It's a very rough ride globally for the hospitality industry, and that's just going to be how it is. So the period 2010 to 2020 is what I'm talking about. We grew the program. We tried to build relationship with employers for hiring. Our enrollments were increasing without marketing dollars, without exposure, but our employers became very fond of us and they were very loyal to sending people every summer to our certificate. I probably had 20 or 30 employers that always sent 2 or 3 people every year to our certificates. During this same period, all of you that have worked at FAU know there was decreasing overload pay and stipends for faculty members, increasing class sizes in many cases. And what filled the void for us was the Center for Online and Continuing Education. And I have been a fan of COSI ever since it was started as the Center for E-Learning. And I took the faculty members in hospitality, and we came up with a plan that all of us would be COSI trained and have all of our classes e-design completed, and we would move our program to be hybrid in most cases. And so we were strategic in taking the leap for all the faculty members that teach hospitality management to be proficient at teaching face-to-face, hybrid, or fully online. Because I knew at some point during the world, we would as a university be offering all those models. And at the same time, I went to the COSI team and learned that I could take our major in hospitality and tourism management and put it in OBA. OBA is the online Bachelor of Business Administration. With all the majors we have in the College of Business and 8,000 students, the only majors that are in the online BBA are management and marketing. And because I strategically aligned us with the marketing department, we were permitted to add our major because marketing was already cleared by the Board of Trustees and the Board of Governors as an online major. So in this 10-year period prior to COVID, we sampled with face-to-face certificates, we became successful at them, and we all learned how to be pretty much expert teachers online, face-to-face, or the mixed mode. The mixed mode is called mixed online and classroom, otherwise hybrid is what I usually call it. And there's a link there for you in the PowerPoint where you can see all the different styles of classes that are permitted to be taught at FAU. For hospitality employees, the hybrid classes were great because about half or more could be online. And so you had the best combination of students. The COVID explosion is what I call it. And COSI has taught me to always use approved photos. So you'll get a chuckle out of that, Judy. So in early 2020, the immediately noticeable effect of January was a decline in the number of jobs that I was posting. I personally post jobs for our employers, and we had about 725 or 30 at this time. And every week I post 30 to 50 emails of job openings, and they just dried up before COVID was really the word on the street. So I saw the writing on the wall that furloughs and layoffs were probably coming along. And simultaneously, if you think January, we're supposed to be in high season in the hospitality business. Yes, I'll do that. I will at the end. So I came up with the idea, why don't we take the certificate we've always been offering, go into the executive ed classrooms, record it, and then put it online. And I know I saw Greg Bowen's on here with me. The faculty immediately stepped up, all of them. And it was really tedious because within 10 business days during COVID, when nobody was in the building with masks, we had to secure rooms, go in by ourselves, have exec ed record them professionally, edit it, etc. So there was no way we were going to do a 40 hours of content certificate. So we did 15 hours of content. Our dean, Dan Gropper's amazing. Um, he immediately said this is a great idea. We did it for free. I immediately emailed the employers and said, would you be interested as you furlough people and lay them off to have them take our certificate for free? And it was, of course, like 100% yes. So the executive ed team and I that had always set up our summer certificates of 30 to 55 students, I said, let's expect a lot. Let's expect 500 because everybody's going to want to do it and it's free. Well, within the first 72 hours that we got it set up in Radius, the system for registrations, we had 500 registrations. So I'm going to show you two brief videos that kind of give the impact of this. In the video, I mentioned hundreds of handwritten cards and notes. In the end, I had 122,000 handwritten cards and notes. The other thing I wanted to say is that we were very comfortable with face-to-face certificates. We had prepped our 4 hours each and we updated our content every year. And at the end, everybody was given a certificate in person, and it made us feel good about, earning some money for the College of Business. Those of you that are doing this as a financial gesture, the money always went to executive ed, not to my program. However, they did pay us faculty stipends. So we felt that for the time we put in, it was well worth it on all the sides. So I want you to know how we went into that financially. All right, go ahead. This first video is FAU produced.
Nearly 300,000 hotel, restaurant, and casino workers will lose their paychecks in coming days.
When COVID-19 first started occurring, I immediately thought, what could I do to make these people feel better? And it was keep them engaged and offer them some positive light to know that we'll come out of this. So I took our existing hospitality and tourism management certificate and we condensed it a little and put it online, and it's absolutely free. And I expect it to help about 500 people. And I'm blown away because right now we have 77,000 and received by almost 150 countries. And I'm still getting hundreds of emails a day for people that want to join in.
Here it is, completed.
We have thousands and thousands of posts all over social media thanking us for what we're doing. And I had a stack of personally handwritten thank you cards, letters, notes. It's just overwhelming. And really what we're doing is just keeping people positively engaged. Everyone's concerned, and hospitality is all about people. So they feel our warmth virtually, and they're enjoying it. And the second video you'll see is just something sent to us by one of our employer stakeholders who posts jobs with us. He happened to be on LinkedIn this particular day when he sent this video, and it's just his LinkedIn feed. You'll get a chuckle out of it.
LinkedIn feed is completely flooded with Florida Atlantic University certificates for the Hospitality and Tourism Management program that my friend Peter Ricci put together with a few industry leaders to give folks a free education. And this has been just amazing. The entire LinkedIn feed is just filled with these amazing certificates. Kudos to FAU for doing such an outstanding job, and I'm proud to be part of it. Much appreciated. So it was just an overwhelming ride, as you can see. Okay. Like nothing we ever did. So then it led to just under 80,000 people registering. I think we now have close to 60,000 who've completed. It might be 58, something like that. 75,000 in donations. We were almost up to $500,000 in revenue. My goal is to get to that by 2025, and we'll talk about revenue in a minute. But what really helped me the most
was the recognition for FAU and the program, um, the recognition to get me personally out and about speaking at conferences and events and things that I had never done before. And the biggest, helping us during this global enrollment decline with full-time students. I currently have about 15 people who are in the MBA that came from the certificate. I have about 45 undergrads. And the during the challenges part, if you just think about this, FAU has about 30,000 students at any one time, and we dumped in almost 77,000 registrants. So the coordination with OIT, executive ed, my faculty members, the dean's office, it became mass organized chaos, but it was very, very positive. So these are specifically registrations for the certificate during COVID. Hey, David, what's your question?
I was wondering, okay, so the certificate was free, but you talk about $75,000 in donations, $425,000 in revenue. Can you speak to what the numbers are speaking to as far as that's concerned?
Sure.
So I was a little confused by that. Thank you.
Yeah, let me get to my next slide. So the original certificate was completely free. We paid for it, and believe me, it cost money because one of the technical issues was that we couldn't handle the capacity and the number of people. OIT had never had that many people accessing Canvas at one time. So we had to spend, I want to say $25,000, which
Wow.
exec ed agreed to share with OIT to buy more space for Canvas. So in my welcome interview, I on the certificate program, and actually at the very end interview, when I say thank you for completing the certificate, I asked everyone for a $1 donation. And I figured if we got 50,000 $1 donations, we could pay for OIT. But we actually got about 5,000 people who made donations of all varying sorts. And that's where that comes from. The revenue I'll talk about in a second. Um, so these are more of the recognition. I have been on about 50 podcasts by now. I've been keynote academic conference speaker for 5 conferences ranging from India to Italy to Canada to Sri Lanka. I continue to do the circuit for the industry. And the conversation on all of these is now the global enrollment decline and the loss of people from the industry. You have to think while we did this, everything was positive. We were there to help the hospitality workers who were suddenly unemployed. But what happened during COVID is people decided not to return to the industry because they found remote jobs, they retired, and so on. So now I'm asked to talk about the evolving subject matter of hospitality, which was not related to the certificate. One of the things that shook out as well is if you remember going into this, we had 700 plus companies that posted jobs. Now we're at 1,400. The demand for hospitality workers is incredibly high. So the certificate led to a feeling that I'm the guy to go ask for students and alumni for jobs. Peter will help you. So the positive PR has led to chaos in my world because I have fewer students than I've ever had in the past probably 10 years, yet I'm getting job postings more and more. But what's really nice is you see this little hat on the side. If you can't see the date, it's June 15th, 22, last week. It's a $100 donation. The people continue to come out in force, recognize us, and support us. And I could never have had such results like this from any kind of paid marketing. This is a sample of all the countries that have participated, the ones that I could remember. In the initial certificate, there's 77,000 plus, 60,000 accessed, 45,000 completed. So it was a fairly good completion rate during a worldwide pandemic. And we had more Canvas page views in a 20-day period than have ever been viewed by the entire state university system. I remember the board of governors reaching out saying, you know, you're going to kill us with Canvas crashing across the university system at some point. So those were all the highlights. So to David's point, where did the revenues come from? Well, what I did is about 4 cohorts in. Actually, let me share this for a minute. I got a couple of documents open for all of you. So this is the spreadsheet, okay? So the free certificate generated no revenues, as you would imagine. After it concluded, I said, we've got this great thing built. Let's expand the 15 hours of content back to a normal size certificate of 30 hours and give it a test run at a very low price. Our typical certificate was $499, so we lowered it to $199. I started promoting it on social media, and we call it cohort 5 because the first 4 were free. Cohort 5 brought us in 21,000 in revenue, and we probably had 10,000 in expenses. So say it brought in cleared 10 grand, not bad. So what I did for cohort 6 is I went back to all the people that took the free one, and I said, if any of you would like to continue, you can now do the full length one with new content and get another 30 hours of continuing education units. And we made just over 100,000 with no out-of-pocket costs because we had already produced this. Now we ran that 7, 8, 9, 10 and made all this additional revenue. Oh, actually, this is 7, 8, and 9. Then we were approached by the city of Pompano Beach, which got a grant from an agency to offer the certificate in person to their local residents who are interested in hospitality careers. So we just finished that one. Now we're doing City of Pompano 2, which will start in a month or two. The faculty stipends for this were about $1,500 each, if I remember. And now I said, all right, it's time to develop new content, and let's do it every 2 years with updated content. So now we're in what I call cohort 2022. It's cohort 2 for 2022. So the goal is to now update the content every 2 years. We have a following that I never would have expected. And the goal is to get to $500,000 in revenue by 2025, which I think is reasonable. Of course, once you do certificates, everybody's going to want you to do more and more of them and thinks you're going to have a panacea for saving the woes of the world financially for the university. That is definitely not the case. We were definitely in the midst of a pandemic, so we would have never been able to have these numbers. But if I could make 10 or 15,000 per run of a certificate, I'd be very, very pleased. In the end, we probably have now over 10 million posts, comments, shares, or impressions of the certificate. So FAU in general got a lot of public relations out of this. The provost and president, very cognizant of this effort, have thanked me in person, have supported us, etc. But the challenges are going to be on the next few slides, and I want to stay cognizant of our time, so I got to be on this. So you need to have the infrastructure. We did not have the infrastructure when this massive thing happened. Now we learn from every cohort we put through how to better manage the certificates. Have an expert who handles Radius. In the College of Business, we have the executive education department, but I know many of you across the university have a person in your college that does the technical side of Radius for the registrations, the payments, and so on. Make sure that person knows Radius inside and out, because Radius is not the best system I've ever used for customer relationship management, CRM, but it's what we have in most cases right now. Um, be prepared for anything, calls, emails, texts. Unfortunately, I became the face of this certificate. So I had people calling me at home on my cell 24 hours a day because we were in 168 countries and territories. So at any one time, they were awake doing the certificate and felt like I was their friend and they wanted to reach out to me. There was a 3-week period where I was averaging 2,500 emails a day. There was another 3-week period that was far worse than this when I was averaging 5,500 emails a day. So we had to split up and conquer. You won't have this if you have 40 or 50 people in your certificates, but you need to be prepared for text, emails any time of the day, and everybody wants immediate, instantaneous satisfaction because they feel that we're an online certificate that they can view 24 hours a day, so you're going to respond 24 hours a day. The technical stuff of local outages, I don't know what internet provider you have in Dubai. I don't know how fast your internet speed is in Alaska. So there were so many things beyond Canvas that were out of our control. And God bless the OIT team at FAU and in executive ed because we learned on the fly. So make sure you have your ducks in a row in your infrastructure. Before you send an email, make sure it's exactly what you want to say. I remember at one point, I sent an email that said do ABC, but I had C slightly incorrect. And that email went out to 40,000 registered people. So you can imagine what a disaster that was. So tech support, questions, the format, etc. I want to move on for a second to academic integrity because this one still confounds me and I just have to get over it. As a faculty member, our group wants excellence in education. We're putting out content that is FAU, it has our name on it. When you see it electronically or printed, it's a certificate that looks like it could be a diploma. But when we were doing face-to-face certificates all those years, we never had quizzes or exams. They would come every week. They would only be allowed to have one missed session. And if they were there all the time, they got their certificate. So deciding what to do in an online world was very difficult. Um, did we, the people taking it CFAU and they think they're taking a 4-credit class. They try to use it to apply to college. We've had high school students up to age 85 take it. They all try to use it to apply. We have to get back to them and tell them it's not for credit. It's continuing ed units. And right now I'm still getting my arms around because we require an 80% on each quiz before you can move to the next module. And we have unlimited attempts. We tried to reduce it in this cohort to 3 attempts maximum. And I have had to date 117 email complaints out of 244 registered. And I have to respond to all those. So we went back to unlimited attempts. And our discussion among faculty members was as varied as we are human. Some wanted a 90% minimum with unlimited attempts. Some wanted 3 attempts or you're out. When we tried that, they complain and complain about spending money. It's not fair. They didn't take good enough notes. So you have to go into this very different than if you're dealing with an undergraduate or a graduate student who's getting it for credit. I had to shop around and look at all the certificates out there in the world. And I would say that most of them had unlimited attempts on quizzes and the quizzes were very easy. So, it's very, very interesting. The faculty member buy-in, I'm blessed with amazing faculty members in hospitality. We usually agree. We very rarely have disagreed in my whole 15 years here. And everybody bought in and thought it was well worth it. They could always opt out. And yes, to David's earlier question, it is paid by us as a stipend to the faculty member. It's voluntary and it's taught by faculty members. And by taught, I mean we created all the videos and the content. We also have interviews with industry execs, and then the faculty member creates a quiz on his or her section of content. I put here the time zone. That was a huge learning curve for me. I've learned every time zone in the world, and I can recite them by heart again. You know, people ask, would I do it again? I don't think I'd have a choice if it was something like COVID, because that was an unknown wave that hit me right in the face. Would I do certificates again? Absolutely. I do them all the time. The industry seems to like them. The employers like them. I do not know that my HR professionals understand what exactly is included in a certificate and what it means as a takeaway in learning for the end user. So I'm constantly trying to educate them that this is not a degree, this is 30 hours of content, it's etc. I did get appreciation from all around the university, especially high from the COSI team and the College of Business. But I honestly don't think we got enough appreciation because we literally had the equivalent of $75 million of marketing spent. And I think that should come back some way, somehow in the future when we need it, because we could have never bought the public relations that we got out of this. And for the faculty members, I would have liked their stipends to be $10,000, not 2,000 or 1,500 or whatever, but that's just me. Now, I put this on the right. It's kind of fuzzy. You can Google any day, anytime, and you will find somebody posting their certificate. This is a random yesterday. It's from 1 week ago at the time of the posting. She's a reservations manager at a resort, proudly posting her certificate. That's excellent. But again, I don't know what this means to the end user because it looks very official, like a degree. So one of the challenges is to constantly educate the world around you what a certificate is versus a degree and what the differences are in takeaway items. Click on this link. It will take you to our Qualtrics form that we created. Well, that the IT team created in executive ed. I'm forever grateful of them because this form alone saved me about probably 500 emails over a 6-month period. It walks them through questions. What's your name? What cohort are you in? What issue are you having? Do you need a password reset? Do you need a new username? Can you not hear the sound? And it takes away about 95% of the potential questions. And there isn't one for other in case they haven't got that yet. Over time, they enhance and improve the Qualtrics form to include any and every question we get. That helped a lot. I've also created a resource guide, and Judy will send that to you. I'll open it in a minute. It's very basic. It's me writing in Word one night at 3 a.m. because I was frustrated with all the questions. And now I send it out to every cohort we have. It repeats the tech support link about 4 times. Hopefully they'll read it. You would be imagine how many say I don't have a tech support link, even though we provide this to everyone. So the more and more you give them the info they need, the more likely your calls, emails, and challenges will go down. We have a specific email address for general questions. It's professionaldevelopment@fau.edu. It goes to our exec ed team. If they have tech support needs, we direct them specifically to a tech support link that's in the resource guide. Another lesson I learned is that along the way, people did not want their electronic certificates that come at the end. We actually create a module where they can print out their electronic certificate. So we came up with a base rate of $99. They can purchase a physical certificate with a seal that looks much more professional, and it's shipped anywhere in the US for free. If it's out of country, they pay an additional postage. We don't plan on making that a huge revenue source, but we do get 20 to 30 per cohort who want a physical certificate. So maybe we make another $500 on that. But it's cumbersome for the exec ed team to have to process that, mail it, ship it, all that stuff. But we did find a need for that. We also tell people they can print out their electronic certificate in best quality and then frame it. Some of them do that, but some of them just simply want to pay the $99. Our typical person is someone who may be interested in college at some point, but doesn't have the resources or time, or someone maybe who's not going to college that wants this because it's as close as they're going to get to having a college experience, or a person who has a bachelor's and an MBA and is doing continuing education units for their own certification. So we have three typical types of people that come to me almost evenly across the third of them. You will get requests for transcripts. There are no transcripts, so you have to create a template or a letter of completion template or do it individually. We had, of course, the president's office, the registrar, various college dean's offices getting calls, and so on. So it's really quite interesting as to what we learned from this. But they want to use this as an application tool for a scholarship or future admissions to a university or so on. So we do indeed provide letters of completion. This came to me over the weekend, so I had to share it with you. This is from the current certificate. I've watched the video 3 times, taken the quiz 8 times, and I cannot pass. Don't know what else to do. So when I get these, they come to me. So when I say you need to have someone who's willing to put in the time, I probably put in 15 hours a week on the certificate. Social media promoting, bonding, making relationships, it's cumbersome. But in this case, I wrote back and I politely said, we've had over 55,000 complete. You can watch an unlimited number of times. I would take better notes. I know for sure this section is a section you can pass, and I re-inspired faith. But this person may decide no, and they've spent their $199 and that's it. But I try to maintain the academic integrity level that I think we can possibly maintain. Do I have people try to go in and just take a quiz and not spend their time watching the videos? Yes, I do. And I go in and monitor Canvas and say, hey, you've been in a total of 5 hours. You cannot receive the certificate. You need a minimum of 30 contact hours with the content. Again, cumbersome, time consuming. I shouldn't say pain in the butt, but it's a pain in the butt in many instances. But let's close with a positive. These are just a sample of the things that have emerged from this. Like I said, 50 plus podcasts, 10 to 15 keynote speaking engagements at academic conferences. Now one of the 50 influential leaders in hospitality, the top 25 educators in hospitality. I mean, it's been an amazing global response. For me, one of the biggest that I love is I was invited to be on the International Hospitality Institute's Academic Advisory Board. That puts me with Cornell, Lucerne, and all of the top schools in the world, of which I would never, ever have had it, let alone a state university in there, but FAU. We also have broken this up into our own webinars. You can't really read these, but we've had topics and we'll do webinars. We have 1 to 4,000 who attend our webinars. So we're able to constantly keep the FAU name and hospitality program out there. And this is our list of, some of the things here on this corner that we have for the program. We're a top 25, we're a top 25 in this, a top 25 in that. So, I can't say it was anything but positive, but super, super time consuming, tiring, and fun all in one.
Thank you. This has been wonderful, and know that we welcome anytime you want to join us in a session, because obviously everybody's eager and enthusiastic about what you've shared with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Ricci, for this. We
Thank
truly
you all.
appreciate it. Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a great day, everyone.